What's up, BigHerc916? I'm here with the big homie CC.
What's up,
What's
brother?
up, man?
Yes, sir. Good to see you in person, finally.
Man, we've been chopping it up for a minute on social media. I've been trying to connect, keep missing each other, and we finally were able to make it happen out here in Arizona.
Yes, sir.
And man, dude, there's so much I want to talk to you about. But
all right.
One of the biggest things, you know, when I seen you speaking on just like the industry, Hollywood,
right.
all that stuff going down,
right.
and we shared some stories, man. Break down for our audience. I know you've done it before, but on being behind the scenes and some of the stuff that people assume is so way out, but I'm like, dude, that's like an everyday thing out here in Weirdo Nation.
Okay. So y'all know Big Herc came out with the term cheeks getting busted, right? Right? Look, that's what's going on, man. You feel me? I've seen it several times over and over. When you get into the darker side of Hollywood, into the industry, people are getting taken advantage of. So, if you a weak guy, they're going to make you propositions. And what I noticed is, you know, they don't want the guys who live that lifestyle. They want the guys who they can turn out.
Yeah.
So, there's a situation with the guy, Terry Crews. Now look, Terry Crews like 6'3", like 250, bro. Big, muscular, and you know, we seen him on camera crying because multiple times executives made attempts to bust his cheeks. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want your cheeks getting busted. Make sure you tune in to Big Herc's channel. Get as much knowledge as you can because penitentiary rules apply, man.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the industry, bro. Like, all of these dudes is bisexual weirdos, if you ask me. I've seen it.
But you know what's crazy, CC, is that you got like...
I'm in here with Big Herc. That's great.
When you see, and I tell people, when you see these dudes, right, with these pretty women, and do you think like the dudes, you want to attract a straight guy, you get some pretty women around you. So the straight guy thinking, oh man, he got all the women.
You the first person I heard say this.
And I peeped the game, so you're hanging out, and you come to find out though, but dude, like, hey man, I want to see you hook up with her, but and I remember one time, you know, I never caught him, but my ex was like, he's not looking at, he's looking at you. I'm like, what do you, he like him? Like, what do you mean, dude? I seen him with females. No, he don't like the females. He like you.
Let's talk about this. Okay. I'm 400 pounds. I'm a fat boy. You see what I'm saying? You, muscular, in shape, they not hitting on me like that. I swear to God, bro, I have been in several situations, and this one key situation opened my eyes. I was bodyguarding a guy. I'm not going to say his name because I'm still on the NDA with him. But we were in a hotel, and they got big ballrooms, different events going on. One room is a porn convention, and the other one is a bodybuilding competition. So, but there's one bar. It's an open bar. Okay. Everybody got to go to one place to drink. A buddy of mine was in a bodybuilding competition. I'm an insane G, bro. Raised being a gangster, you know what I'm saying? I just chose a positive path. This is my homie. He just like me. At this time, he was fresh home. He did 15 years for attempted murder and home invasion. And he maxed out. He maxed out his time. You know, he catching cases inside of there. He got to Islam, and he was able to come home. There's a very popular music producer. He called my homie Rico Bands yesterday, telling him, don't hang out with me.
Wow. Because,
you know, I'm the boogeyman to these guys, bro. If you do something crazy to a lady and they contact me, usually, you know, they're able to get their hands on resources, so they pay. And, you know, I'm finna come see about you. This very popular guy, you know, he made my homie a proposition. Because what I learned is they're swingers. Diddy's a swinger. They try to call them lifestyle parties. They just swinger parties, Big Herc. So what ended up happening was, you know, he hanging out with this guy, his wife, and another lady. But the one lady leave. So he called me, yeah, man, where you at, man? I come to the bar, and he makes a comment to me, hey, bro, dude looking at me kind of crazy. I said, let me tell you something, bro. He look at you like that because he want to take a bite. He want to take a bite of what? So I can't make this up, Big Herc. So my homie gets his drink, you feel me? He walks past. This guy pats him on the ass.
Wow.
This the same thing that Terry Crews said happened to him. My homie turns around, dude, grab his crotch. It's the exact same series of events Terry Crews said happened to him. They do this. Another thing they do is they put their arm around you. So there's a video of Diddy and the boxer Gervonta Tank Davis. He keeps putting his arm around Tank Davis. And then he jumps out, grabs him and hugs him, we follow him around. That's what they do to see if he's willing to participate. This is the facts, bro. So I always warn people, you know, if you want to chase your dreams, you got to understand, if somebody's going to walk you into something, they're going to want something in exchange. Yeah. If they don't want to cut about what deal you're getting, they're going to want something else. This is how I go, bro. Point blank, period, clear cut. And I'm going to say this. There's a lot of people that are famous and celebrities who double dip. I'll be harsh on these guys because HIV and AIDS has the highest numbers in the homosexual male community because during anal sex, there's a more higher chance of blood being exchanged. That's a fact. That's why I'm harsh on these guys because if you a straight guy, you dating, you know, she don't know you live a double life, you at risk.
You know, another thing too, though, is that a lot of those women, they know. And I didn't really know because I've seen women who it turns me on. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've had, when I first got off the pen, I remember meeting all these women on these little platforms.
Thinking it's cool.
Thinking it's cool. And then they like, oh yeah, you know, but when I was in college, I seen the guys, they used to do this and that kind of turned me on. I'm like, I ain't with that bullshit. I went to the whole, you know what I mean? But this is how they get you with a pretty woman. She get in there, you kind of inebriated, and they, like you said, touch him a little bit. Next thing you know, this dude, he trying to see where your lines is drawn at.
Yes, they want to see how far you're willing to go. So, you know, when you show up to these events, you know, straight guys, man, where the hoes at? And these events, you the hoes.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep that in mind. And look, bro, what people have to understand is, like, you know, we see Smokey Robinson's situation coming up. And in his situation, he made promises to people but didn't want to pay out. That's why Diddy's in the situation he's in. You know, Cassie had to bring things to light to get paid out.
Do you think he pissed some people off?
For sure. I'm one of them he tries to get put off. Or pissed off?
I'm saying pissed off because they like, nigga, know your place. We give you something, but don't try to take, you think?
Since I'm a fan, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that I'm here right now, I'm kind of fanning out. It's like, damn, it's BigHerc. Oh, peep this. When Diddy signed that deal to promote Ciroc, he promoted it as if he was an owner. He was never an owner. The company that owns Ciroc is Diageo. Diageo has a board of directors of 7 billionaires. When he sued Diageo, he thought he was bigger than the program. He sued them, and that next week, that video CNN dropped of him stomping on Cassie came out. Immediately. And right after that, we seen Diddy sell Revolt TV.
That's right.
And Revolt TV was his baby.
That's right.
So when I saw him sell that, I said, yeah, this guy knows he's going down. Now, I first started speaking out about this guy in 2014. He told me I was crazy. I've been battling with him and his team since 2014. I bodyguarded a lady, they spiked their drink. Here's the thing, though, you know, when somebody hires me to be their bodyguard, if they have a immediate threat to their life, anything they drink or eat, I have to try it first. Dude, I almost blacked out. And I'm 400 pounds. This little lady don't stand a chance.
Damn.
So, you know, that led to some activity, you know, because I keep a Narcan pen in case of situations like this. So I hit myself with it and I hit her with it. She was able to get back so we can get out of there. But, you know, I was upset about it. You know, I started a confrontation. That African dude that be with Diddy, he ain't no joke though. You feel me? He hit me with a bottle. That's how I got this line on my forehead. So you know, a couple people call leg shots. You know what I'm saying? So that's why in the Diddy indictment they got me in there for pointing a gun at him. The lady Ashley said I protected her. That's what I do. Yeah. I protect women. So you know, it's a lot more darker truths about him that's probably gonna come to light. You know. It all boils down to what you are comfortable with within your moral compass. And they used to use MDMA to help couples and couples therapy and revitalize marriages. And they use it in the military to treat PTSD. He was arrested with it. You know, he's been using it for 20 years. And if you use MDMA for a prolonged period of time, you're probably going to become a sexual deviant. And that's exactly what's going on with this guy here.
Doesn't that also tie into GHB, which was big in the bodybuilding industry, and also they used to use that, I heard, in the gay community, they put a drop it down your, it'll knock you out.
It'll knock you out, yeah. So GHB is a chemical, for the people watching who don't know, I'll run it down to you real quick. GHB in liquid form in small amounts can have you incapacitated. Your heart rate is lower. You may look dead, but you
can't fight.
You can't fight. You may look dead, but you're still alive.
Yeah.
So you gotta understand, like, you gotta be an evil person to want to pull sexual acts on somebody who's not consenting. That's something that's going on. You know, GHB became prevalent after Rufalin was something that we heard the term getting roofied.
Yeah.
So once Rufalin started to die out, because they never tested for GHB. They only started testing for GHB when the onset of serial killers became a problem here. Because in America, we have 450 active serial killers right now in the country, and they target 99% single white females. So in my business, I combat human trafficking, and this is something I take very seriously, because you gotta think about it. Women are the only ones who can carry life. It used to be legal to beat your wife in this country. The legal age to get married used to be 12. So we take these calls. A lot of times the enablers are great grandmothers, and they would say, why would I feel bad for her? I was married at 13. So, you know, this is the evil that's taking place in the world. In several countries, ladies can't drive or go to school. And somebody has to do something, you know. So I took this initiative, I took this course, and along the path, a lot of weirdos had to get thrown under the bus, you know. So my first interview I did with Cam Capone that went viral, bro, a lot of guys owed me money. Celebrity dudes don't want to pay. After that interview, they all paid. so it worked out. It worked out, you know. Yeah. But, you know, it just so happened that I have receipts. And, you know, people know me from the industry, and it's kind of like, the boogeyman is outside, bro, because it's Big Herc. I promise. If you name some names, and I'll tell you the truth about them.
Well, you know, just...
If you want to go viral,
yeah,
name some names, Big Herc.
Well, just like you mentioned the Diddy, I mean, and some of these other celebrities, and I used to train this guy, a gay guy. Okay. And we went to LA Fitness 24 hour, and I used to train with him there in Hollywood. And there was guys in the gym, and he would point them out to me. Dudes who you thought was great. Yeah. You know, he was telling me about a specific gentleman who won Olympic gold medals, who ran track. He used to have parties.
Okay.
You probably know.
I know you're talking about.
He told me about another guy. He was married on the Lakers. He told me he was messing with him. He said the guy seen him at UCLA track one day, and he never seen him again. Blocked his number. But these are guys you think like in the public image, and they said do what you want to in the private. But I'm saying, when you get into that world and you think like things are a certain way, and that's why you have so many people in rehab. Why do you think these people are stressed out? You're like, dude, you live in a 5,000 square foot house, you're balling. Why are you on drugs?
What did they do to get it?
That's what I'm saying.
Here's the thing, at the end of the day, as a man, the most valuable asset you have is your manhood, your word, and your family. And if you, pardon me, I'm taking these thermogenic pills right now, and I'm trying to lose weight. I just took a beer. It's getting real crazy. Trying to get like Big Herc, okay? So what I noticed is a lot of guys at late at night, if that's not your lifestyle, it haunts them. It's hard for them to live with it.
Yeah.
And you know, did you see the interview with the group Day 26 who was signed to Diddy? They went on Vlad TV. They all break out crying.
Yeah, I broke down.
That's the thing, bro. 'Cause I know guys who, you know, I know a guy got a song with Drake. The label got on the song, and then, you know, he started freaking in these parties. He turned down some invitations at that party. He never got another song placement again. Shortly after, he was dropped from the label, and, you know, he's working as a personal trainer right now. He said it's the best choice he ever made.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. You know, it's very interesting, like, you know, the whole sex worker thing in the Diddy trial. And I knew a guy who was in the porn industry, and he and like, it's not just Diddy. There's some other celebrities out there. He told me, I don't want to blow his business up, but he told me he made like 100 racks dealing with this one celebrity, and he would be a facilitator of getting people to come over and perform.
Yeah.
And this guy would sit there and do drugs and watch these guys perform, or whoever performs, and then at a certain time, he'd kick everybody out, get cleaned up, and go to the set.
Yes, sir.
And so when people, you know, they have Diddy out there, but you get into Hollywood, and some of these people, they haven't been thrown under the bus yet because they're probably doing what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
But the game is so vicious. You're thinking like, you know, I've heard girls say, hey, there's a party, but this guy's going to be there, but he likes to have a wee-wee in his mouth. Are you cool with that? I'm not cool with that. So I'm not going to, well, you can't go then.
But you're right.
You know, but the dude is straight, and he's supposed to be somebody, you're like, what, he's on wee-wee?
Yeah. So, you know, like, you know, if Diddy would have paid Cassie before this, nothing just happens to him. They don't want to pay out, bro. They be some of the cheapest, frugal people you ever meet while taking advantage of people.
Wow.
Unfortunate. And, you know, Cassie could have called me. We know each other. She could have reached out to me. She loved the dude, for real. What type of man are you to pay another man to urinate in your wife's mouth? Just the mouth that have to kiss you, kiss your children. That's crazy. You bringing a guy called the Punisher.
Yeah, see that? The Punisher.
The Punisher coming to the, come on, man, it's outrageous. You know, I just feel like it should be death to all oppressors of women, because that's just modern day slavery. And I just don't agree with it. I never will agree with it.
Now, what about, I heard the story about the guy who was related to the Sultan Brunei who was partying with Diddy, but then when he came out and said he was gay, he had a mysterious death. Did you hear about the Sultan Brunei, the younger guy, the younger brother? He was like 38. He was hanging out with the black chick. I'm going to introduce you to some entertainers. And these people, what they do, they keep you hanging on. Hey, I'm going to introduce you to this guy. Yep. Hey, I'm going to, and the whole time you going to these parties, you're doing all this stuff, and your life just, you lose your life.
For sure.
And you get caught up in all this.
That's why they have, you know, I've been to a Diddy party, protecting somebody. You know, I'm in the indictment, in the paperwork, because in the indictment they say I protected the plaintiff, little blonde-haired lady. And, you know, when you get there, bro, any drug you want is going to be on a plate. They make all of these type of things available. Any alcohol you want will be on a plate. And what I learned in the human trafficking world is the way they keep control of the sex workers is through drugs.
Yeah.
And, you know, Diddy was the middleman to a lot of other people, a lot more wealthy and affluent than him. So the human trafficking division in America is a small group. So when they started doing their raids, they did not even inform the raiding officers of whose home they were raiding, because he has reach. And they sent Homeland Security to raid his home.
Yeah, why is that?
Because they felt like certain people in power were compromised and he would be warned. So that's why we saw that. And then the guy, the CEO from Abercrombie, was indicted right after Diddy.
I remember that.
He somehow has dementia and
can't stand trial.
Come on, man.
And see, you mentioned an Abercrombie, and back in the day, I used to want to be a male model.
Right.
And I didn't know nothing about it. I just stopped being a male model because I used to read the GQ magazine as a kid and wanted to be a model and stuff. And dude, you know, the first time I really saw some weirdo shit.
Where?
I had did my pictures right with this for photographer. And then I went back to the guy who was like the head of that whatever talent agency. And when I rolled up there, I met this female, right? And I'm like, I'm here to see, like, for instance, John, and she's like, this is Marcus, it's me. I'm like, I've never seen that. I've never seen a man dressed like that. Yeah. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm 17. Yeah. He gives me the pictures. He's like, oh, I'm having a get together. I'm like, dude, this dude, I'm out of here. I booked it, bro. But I didn't realize that
everybody not gonna book it though, BigHerc.
Man.
being a bodyguard, bro, I've been in all the fashion shows, Met Gala, all of that. But all of the big fashion designers are gay men. All of them. That's why I wear pro clubs, bro. Every fashion show I went to, bro, all of the top designers are gay men. All of the male models are bisexual gay men. All of them.
I never knew that until I entered that world.
Facts.
I never knew that. And I went to an audition later on when I was 21, 22.
Okay.
For a male fashion guy, for I can't remember the clothing brand, but the guy told me, he said, when you go in there and they actually take your shirt off, take all your clothes off.
Why you gotta do that for a fashion show? But that's bro. I've been in dressing rooms where, you know, I've seen the exact words you say. All right, time to change looks. Everybody strip naked. I'm like, not no socks, not no underwear. Like, what we doing here?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to change my business. You know, I don't want to be the only straight guy in the party. You know, I don't want to be like the guy Drewski. Like, all he do is hang out at gay bars. That's all he do. That's where he hang out at.
So do you think, like, from the outside, well, you've been in the inside, but, you know, for people thinking like you see all these famous people and you're hanging out with all these rich people, do they not know that, like, all of that is bait to get you in there to turn? Because people, people leave there destroyed.
Yeah.
The people, I mean, women, people want to commit suicide.
Yeah.
You think like, damn, you were just living a life. Why you?
Because you mentioned it earlier. Like, once the drugs wear off and you're not at the celebration, those thoughts resonate with you. You know, people be having bright lights in their eyes and this vision of being a star. And they gatekeep that. They gatekeep that. If they make you a star,
there's a trade-off.
There's a trade-off for sure, bro, big time.
What do you think would happen with Kanye?
Here's the thing with Kanye. I know this guy, like, Kanye told me in my face that the world is his muse. He sees the world in colors. He always references himself to be Michelangelo of this generation. And he has a God complex, a superiority complex. And the problem is, though, when I seen him trying to hang with my homies and be a GD, after you're a billionaire, the people in his world never associated danger with him. And he felt like when he rose as a champion in the industry that, like OJ said, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Yeah.
This happened to Kanye.
Same
thing. And you know, when you got this color skin, you need to have a level of danger to you. But when you get into that private sector and they see you can articulate yourself and you're smart, they open up doors for you. Because they respect the guy that's not like the other guys. He became one of the other guys and thought he was going to escape that. So when a guy comes out saying that he was giving his cousin oral sex for till he was 15, now you want to be a victim. The gangsters will let you be a gangster. Now you want to be a victim.
Oh, so he flipped it.
He flipped it.
Yeah, because why'd he say that?
And then you trying to paint it like you was a victim. Bro, at 15, y'all in a relationship, man.
Oh, shit.
BigHerc at 15.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You know better.
You know what's going on. Can't nobody make you get sit between their legs at 15.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, that's what's going on, man.
Yeah.
It's the facts.
You know, it's almost like it's almost like, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but remember, okay, after the whole humiliation thing with Will Smith with Jada Pinkett, and how he tried to go back to the hood and kind of hang out with the dudes.
He rapping out.
Remember, he was working out in that benching and stuff, and he's like,
yes.
you know, pumping up. And I'm like, dude, you a multi-millionaire, but now you trying to show you can still be, I guess, in the hood with these dudes working out who ain't got shit.
Nothing.
But you're trying to like have people view you differently because your whole image has been tarnished.
It's been tarnished, severely tarnished, and you know, Jada was dating rappers before she got with him. And the reason she carries herself well, or carries herself how she does, but she don't respect him.
No.
His wife was having an affair with a singer in the house where they live at.
Wait, wasn't he watching Cuckold?
He claims he wasn't, but I don't want to, you know. he like to sue people. So, you know.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna delve too deep into it, but you see him making gangster rap songs now, so. He say he gang, and he's making gun signals with his hand, and you Will Smith. Come on, man.
Dude.
It's too late.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Facts. Yes, and your wife knows you're bisexual. So now you gotta slap Chris Rock to look tough now.
It just, that whole game, and like you said, you're right about, you know, how kind of like how they handled Suge Knight with a Velvet Glove, but they were hey man, but then they know like he can push the line,
he can and make a phone call,
and so they didn't really, you know, do him dirty to the point where if it didn't look right, he like, this ain't right. Oh, we'll change it,
right?
You know, and you got to have that, because these people. I remember talking to a guy, and he started talking. He said, "Dang, you're so articulate. What'd you go to jail for?"
For sure.
He's
for
like,
sure, for sure.
I said, right. He said, "You used the gun?"
Right.
I said, "Yeah."
They can't believe it. They can't believe it.
Yeah. He said, "Man, how'd you rehabilitate yourself?"
How did you?
I already had it in me.
Sure.
I had a balance because I had already had that educational side, but I knew how to be a
sure.
street dude too.
For sure.
So I could be a chameleon. I'm not just, I know about you know, securities and the stock market and stuff, but I also know that I can get over here if I need to and do some other shit and have you disappear.
But for you, it was for income. It's not your lifestyle.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right. And I have bought into something, and when when you buy into something and you get so far into it, then you realize, like, at the end of that road, when I got arrested that day and I realized that the game was played out, I got duped. Because I get to the pen, I'm duped.
They
tricked me.
Yeah.
A dime, I'm doing the 10 years for some stupid, when I'm like thinking, and I'm around all these other dudes, I'm like, what am I doing here?
That's how I felt, you know, being a gangster, being a gang member. I was born into it. You know, I never really had opportunity. Like my uncles, these guys 70 years old, still gangbanging with each other. Y'all, here come these Black Stones. So it's kind of like, I just said, you know, I always took my education seriously. I don't forget where I came from. You know, I tried to get a lot of my homies on a positive path. You know, I had told them the next time y'all baby mamas and girlfriends call, say y'all beat them up, y'all gotta fight me. And, you know, I was kicking a lot of ass for some years, you know, until, you know, they decided to cross over to my side. And, you know, I feel like us as men, we gotta lead by example. And at the end of the day, you know, all that street bullshit only leads to destruction. And it's a lot more gangster to be home, to take care of your children and protect your life and your wife. And they try to paint this picture of like this just beautiful lifestyle of being an outlaw, but unfortunately, everybody idolizes this shit in movies. They don't have a real-time version to compare this to. A buddy of mine works in the DEA, and he says every time they do a raid, they find one DVD, and that's Scarface.
Yeah, I know, I watched that as a kid, yeah.
So, you know, that's how they control people with media. Somebody had a plan to remove a lot of files out of communities, and it worked.
How do you get the balance of being a person who's so articulate and well-rounded, but still, you know, but you have that street edge? Because like somebody talking to you, you could talk and, you know, and come across very professional.
Absolutely.
But don't get it twisted.
Yeah, I got Savage tatted on the side of my head, man. You know, I just feel like my dad used to operate in illicit fields growing up. FBI comes to the house one day and they tell him, look, you got multiple threats against your life. By law, they have to tell you. He hired bodyguards for the family. It was two guys that were assigned to me 24 hours a day, Sterling and Guito. And, you know, they trained me to be a monster, man. I've trained them well-versed in everything dangerous. So it's kind of like, And, you know, I took an IQ test in 5th grade. I got a 173. And then, that's a real high score. So they went and got my dad out of jail. The FBI got my dad out of jail, got my mom from her job, brought them to my school, and I took it again in front of everybody. I got a 174. So when I did that, I started going to college in 5th grade.
Damn.
So by the time I got to freshman year, I had enough credits to be a junior. So, you know, one day I made a choice. I was in a spelling bee freshman year. I get to the spelling bee, it's all Asian people, Indian kids. And, you know, I didn't win the spelling bee. And I said, wait a second. This is real competitive. But, you know, I can go to the street and run circles around everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And I just was never a malice person, you know. I never was a person, you know, I never harmed anybody who didn't deserve it. I was never a thief, you know. I never stole from people. I don't lie. And I always depended on my faith. You know, my major in college was theology. And, you know, Matthew chapter 6-7 says, listen, seeking you shall find, listen, you shall hear. And, you know, I always stayed close to my faith. You know, I walked the path of God, and it led me here sitting in you, bro. Yeah. That's really how I broke down. Straight up like that.
Well, I feel like in this world we have a certain vibration or frequency we operate under, and you attract like minds. It's almost like, you know, two lone, you know, wolves out there in the desert, and you can find each other because you're on this type of frequency.
Absolutely.
So that you like, you know, you're honed in, and you know, connecting with people like yourself, man, and hearing what you're doing. To me, it's just life changing because we need more people like you, and there's not enough people like you who stand on values who actually aren't afraid to speak out.
No.
So a lot of people turn the other eye. They're a body, but they turn the other eye, and shit's going down. I'm like, dude, you know what I mean? Then they later on, well, I remember he did do this, and why didn't you stop it?
Right. So the sole reason for that, I believe, is, you know, I'm not afraid of hell or jail, and I know I'm capable of protecting myself and others in a time of crisis. So, you know, if you come after me, you better be right with God, because you know, I'm good at what I do. So a lot of people, bro, they get intimidated at the fact that they're going against people with a lot more influence and resources than them. Because of who I've been as a person, I'm able to get a lot of resources. And when it comes to the aspect of danger, you know, they had me watching torture videos as a kid and all type of stuff, doing room clearing drills with firearms as a 10-year-old. So, you know, when other guys in my family my age, they would cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't cry. So they was like, oh, well, we're going to keep him with us. And yeah, so, you know.
Have you ever had to deal with like a situation where you were maybe in negotiation or dealing with somebody and they want to see really how serious it was or try to test the knowledge of or your capabilities? You had to show them until they like, oh, okay, no, this ain't the one.
Right. So I'm glad you said that. So the first time I took a bodyguard job, I just got the call and showed up. And they tried to set it up for a guy to come in and act like he was going to harm the client. Whole time, that's this guy's brother. This guy gets his jaw and his leg broke. And then now they say, oh man, you were too harsh. I said, well, the guy just came in here with a knife trying to stab you in the bar. So after that, I started doing something called a threat assessment, where we pull up all the information you got going on, and we try to identify if there's an actual threat against your life, and then we take a payment up front before we take the job. Okay. So I would usually show up and then get paid after the night was over. But if somebody's paying you up front, they're not finna have it so where their brother comes in and the guy got hurt fast. You know, they thought it was a joke. Guy coming to a bar with a knife. I'm not no little guy, Big Herc. You know? So, you know, if I punch you and kick you, it's probably gonna hurt a little bit. And that's what happened to him, straight up. So yeah, I do a threat assessment now at our company. We do a threat assessment first to identify risk, and then vet you to make sure you're not full of shit.
Now, did you prefer working more in like the corporate private sector or the hip hop? Because I know hip hop, I've seen, and it's a lot of drum.
I hate the hip hop sector. Like that's why I pivoted my business to basically just protecting women, because like in that sector, those ladies are the ones who call like, yo, this dude is doing this to me, this guy's stalking me, this guy's paying these people to do this to me. And you know, one basketball wife trusts you, word spread. I heard a lady say, oh, you can't buy him, girl, he don't care. So you know, they pay me, we gonna get the job done, it's gonna be all good. But at the end of the day, bro, only thing men respect is danger.
Yeah.
And no criminal wants a hard job. No oppressor wants a hard task. That's why they try to target people that are mentally unhinged or weak. So, you know, a lot of guys learn valuable lessons. If you see me standing, you see the bald head man sweating, you be careful. You know, it's going to get wild for you.
Do you think that the most of these guys, though, the primary cause behind their actions is narcissism? Because it seems like a lot of like when you talk to some of these guys, they just think like
I'm not gonna say narcissism.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I think a lot of them are sociopaths though.
Okay.
Because like you see a lot of police officers used to get bullied in school, then they become cops.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys, bro, like without having money or fame, they're a loser in their mind because they judge themselves off of these material possessions. And then it attracts ladies who are attracted to these material things, and then they don't respect this lady because they don't see them as a person, so they take advantage of them for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I studied it. I'm a scientist at heart.
Yeah.
And I studied it close, and I seen how the ladies in my family were getting treated, and I said, as soon as I'm big enough, I'm bring this to an end. So, I ended domestic violence in my family, and that's why my support system was so strong. All the ladies bossed up and they good, so
Yeah.
I'm able to do what I need to do, and they pour into me, and I'm able to go out and do what I do.
Because I remember you saying in one of your interviews, I think you were talking about how, especially like a lot of prominent people in Hollywood, how their whole thing is like abusing women,
For sure.
and how a lot of these guys, and you're like, on the set, their whole thing is they get off on these roles and how these roles are, and it's like something they feed off of, and it's like, dude, that's a pretty sick mentality.
Yeah, because they don't like women. So it's easy to beat up on something you don't like. These guys just like sex. They don't like female.
The act.
Just an act, bro. And then at the same time, if you want paparazzi to take pictures of you, they call paparazzi to come to places. And then when paparazzi come, they don't want to take pictures. They call the paparazzi.
Yeah.
But if you want paparazzi to take a lot of pictures of you want to be on the cover of magazines and websites, you gotta have a model with you. They not just to take a picture of BigHerc right there.
Yeah.
They not, you got a model with you, then it looks good on camera. They can sell the pictures.
Another thing too, I was talking with a friend of mine. I said, do you notice like how with all the different like women in the world, but these dudes sleep the same bath. Like this broad, she's been with this dude, Scotty, but then she's around 4 or 5 other dudes. You all know the same. How does that make? It's like, damn, dude, you can't go get nobody else.
They want somebody they know is gonna be in the freak off. They want somebody they know. Okay, they done already seen the video. Oh yeah, she can come over and do this for us too. Somebody don't know about it. They gonna call the police. They gonna scream bloody murder. They want somebody they're gonna be complicit already. That's why they all screw each other.
It's because they're already seasoned in that world.
Yes.
So I don't have to explain it. You're already down because I ain't got to turn you out for it.
Swinger society.
Yeah.
Hollywood is swinger society.
Wow. With a lot of straight guys who are masquerading with the bisexual or gay.
Yep.
With pretty wives.
Yes.
Yeah. And
when you see those divorces and they settle out of court for millions, you know why.
I was just looking at something like that too, man. A rapper who married I'm talking about at a new hoe, married.
Oh yeah,
and then she divorced as soon as the marriage after they dated for all those years, and you're like, damn, why did he even get married? And it's like this, like they already know, but they just play the game.
That's why Nicki Minaj told Cassie, you know what you signed up for. A lot of ladies would die to be in your position. Toughen up.
Wow. How do you think that's going to end? Do you think that it's like this is just a humiliation ritual, or is it going to actually? Because to me, it seems like this is almost a diversion from the Epstein.
All right. I'll be careful here.
Yeah.
Okay. The Epstein client list and the Diddy list is kind of the same. The problem is, the guy Jeffries didn't talk. He's never going to go to jail. Weinstein didn't talk. He's never going to go to jail. Diddy pissed off people that are much more wealthier than him. And it boils down to a situation where we're going to take the lesser of the evils. They don't want to release the Epstein files. This is an exclusive right here. They don't release these files because they don't want to rise in anti-Semitism.
Wow.
That's why you see Kanye making swastika shirts.
Yeah, what's behind that?
He's at war with he's at war with a group of people who control everything. when you get a chance, you should listen to the Fuhrer's speech that he gave. Well, they call Hitler the Fuhrer.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen to his speech translated in English. It'll answer all your questions. Because it's a literal battle between good and evil right now.
Yeah. It's almost like a spiritual war that's actually come out into a physical form.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just looking at it like, oh, he's crazy. No, he's almost a conduit on something deeper. Much deeper.
It definitely goes deeper. There are black magic ties. There are blood ritual sacrifices that take blood rituals that are associated with this. The truth is stranger than fiction. And I'm somebody who's seen the darkest parts of humanity. And for some reason, innocent lives is something that they target.
Yeah. No, I told you. I mean,
now we keep going on this path. I don't know how this video they might shadow ban you. So
no, I know. I totally understand what you're talking about, man. And like, you know, like you said, the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, you know, if people start researching some of the Manson stuff, or even going into some of the older. I remember the Faces of Death, man, and some little videos, and dude, I'm still traumatized by with some of that stuff. And you see, like, these are people, and they do this stuff, and they really believe that, like selling their soul. They believe that, you know, what they worship. You know, it's serious shit.
Yeah, they believe it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, look into Scientology, you get a chance. The whole purpose of that is to gain bad information on you and use it to leverage against you. It's the same thing Epstein did to people.
Yeah.
Same thing Diddy was doing to people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's deep, man. Well, you know, I appreciate you just, you know, sharing with my viewers a little snippet of that world. Sure. And I've watched a lot of your stuff, man. And
appreciate
I know,
that. Likewise.
You know, that world is, you know, for those who are getting goofy or who are naive and thinking, oh man, you know, I wish I could have been at that party doing this. You might say that now, but
you don't.
You know,
get your cheeks busted.
Get your cheeks busted.
For sure.
You know.
For sure.
So yeah, you guys out there, look up the big homie CC. He's everywhere. You know, doing big things. You know, this man is doing a big thing for humanity right now. And hey, you women out there, you already know. BigHerc916, fresh out, the big homie CC. Shoo. Don't forget to stop by the BigHerc916 store and pick up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that BigHerc916 has authored. You know how we do it. A limited edition GTA poster signed by me for $10, or with your purchase of a Wig Splitter Porsche t-shirt, I'll throw in a free poster signed by me for you.